Gatherings such as this require a final statement that's shaped by what we've learned while casting a vision for our future. For the past 3 years, Vanessa Cooksey has served as the Regional Arts Commission's president and CEO, studying the region's philanthropic landscape while listening to the artists and arts organizations that activate our creative sector. Her efforts to learn and listen have led us to this moment. Without further ado, and I'm gonna ask y'all to stand to your feet and stomp and cheer and roar, because this woman is a change maker, y'all. Please welcome with me, Vanessa Cooksey.
Wow. Woo, please. Wait till the end to do that. Thank you so much, Andrea. Good afternoon. Oh, you all can do better than that. If you all have seen me at a podium, you know this is going to be an interactive situation. Good afternoon. Yes, we have had an amazing day of connecting and learning about the impact and influence of the arts in St. Louis. From the personal stories that were shared to the well-documented research, we know that art builds and art heals our community. Now, first audience engagement. Raise your hand if you're a creative. Raise your hand if you know a creative. Raise your hand if you've always wanted to be a creative. No matter where you are on the creative spectrum, this session will have something for you. I want you to think about our time together in 2 parts, kind of like 2 acts in the spirit of theater. In Act 1, I'm going to share 7 key takeaways from AEP 6 and Creatives Count. I'll highlight central themes and offer a set of my personal observations that I hope will shape the future of our arts and culture ecosystem. In Act 2, I will tell you about RAC's 2024 grant-making plans and programs. I will be sure to leave enough time for questions at the end and get you out of here by 5 o'clock. Takeaway number 1, St. Louis is an arts town. Yes. In 1985, the people of St. Louis voted to create RAC because they wanted the arts to be accessible to residents and visitors. Nearly 40 years later, St. Louis is being nationally recognized as an arts town. This summer, Counter Public was featured in the New York Times. Grand Center Arts District was profiled in Forbes. We even have an Academy Award-winning animation studio, Lion Forge Entertainment, that calls St. Louis home. Additionally, St. Louis is an arts town because of our culturally dynamic neighborhoods, from the vibrancy of Old North to the galleries of Maplewood, from the blues on Broadway and downtown to the happenings on Cherokee Street, from the public art in Chesterfield to the eclectic arts activities in Grand Center. St. Louis has plenty to choose from. RAC has participated in AEP studies for 30 years. We have counted millions of people that have attended arts nonprofit culture events annually. In 2022, we counted 8.1 million attendees. In 2017, we counted 12 million. Now, while 2022 was less for a variety of reasons, COVID-19 being one of them, it speaks volumes that we still have 8.1 million people who come to this town for our remarkable artistic experiences that we have here. Architecture, design, dance, theater, poetry, music. Take your pick. We also know that people are not traveling as often, but when they do travel for arts and cultural events, they are spending more money. Our sector in 2022 generated $868 million in economic activity. We are well on our way to $1 billion. Each of us can take pride in St. Louis's vibrant arts and culture community. Takeaway number 2. Creatives and venues are our greatest assets. In Sound Diplomacy, a study that we funded with the Kranzberg Arts Foundation, we found that of the 1,144 music assets, 777 of them are music venues. We are not short on places to go in St. Louis, and the people here love our creative spaces. Nearly 85% of people said that they would feel a sense of loss if the creative venue in their community suddenly closed. Many of our arts and culture organizations, such as the Symphony, the Sheldon, Shakespeare Festival, and Stages, have created or are creating new spaces for more people to engage with their work. Now, I'm a Taurus. How many Tauruses do we have in the room? Yes. And one of our greatest personality strengths is determination. Now, that same personality strength can be our greatest weakness when it shows up as stubbornness. Every asset has the potential to become a liability. When we think about our artists, we need to be mindful that too many of them feel isolated and disconnected from the resources that they need to fully pursue their creative practice. Too often, they abandon their goal of becoming a career creative, or they are forced to create lesser quality work, which diminishes our experience of the arts in this region. Many of our arts and culture organizations are under-resourced and have underfunded their maintenance budgets to keep their venues up to code and up to date. This presents real health and safety issues for our artists and patrons. We have also seen too many instances where organizations have scaled too quickly and have taken on more space than their revenue can support. Let us organize and plan as a sector to sufficiently protect, develop, and grow our artists and arts venues so that we can reach and sustain their full potential of offering meaningful engagement for every St. Louisan. Takeaway number 3, arts organizations are businesses and artists are entrepreneurs. Yes, we can love arts for art's sake. We can also elevate and evolve how we talk about artists and arts organizations in a way that truly honors and reflects their economic value add. Now remember, we're almost $1 billion industry with 12,000 jobs. Artists and arts organizations need and want financial, intellectual, and social capital. Accounting, engineering, governance, marketing, manufacturing, and more are all disciplines at work in arts and culture. How often have you heard something or someone described as artsy or artsy-fartsy? A few times, a lot of times. It's often intended to diminish the artistic work of our arts organizations and to oppress the power and revolutionary impact of our artists. Let's all agree to sunset these phrases. Dysfunctional board and staff relationships, luckily I don't know anything about that. Premature and poorly scaffolded scaling, funder inconsistency, and fragmented turf war politics hinder our sector's growth. One way to dismantle these underlying issues in our ecosystem is to offer more professional and personal development programs to artists, arts organizations, and arts organizations board members. We must also welcome artists and arts organizations into business and civic discussions, not as check-the-box invitees, but as strategic thought partners that bring out-of-the-box innovative ideas to the table. At the same time, it is important for artists and arts organizations to be proactive and position themselves as vital participants in economic development and civic decision-making. This year, RAC piloted a sponsorship initiative with for-profit and industry trade organizations to give our grantees greater visibility. At the Evolution Music Festival, we created an artist village and invited local creatives like Brock Seals and nationally syndicated cartoonist Steens to sell their products. We hosted a few artists also at the World Trade Center's Growing Global Luncheon. We even developed a partnership with STL Bucket List, one of the region's biggest social media influencers. Our goal in all of this was to bring our grantees work to a new audience and strengthen cross-sector relationships, a true win-win. Takeaway number 4, we need more partnerships, collaboration, and consolidation to guarantee the arts and culture sector's long-term sustainability. In 1970, the Arts and Education Council worked with 60 arts organizations, about 60, in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. Our population was 2.4 million people. In 2022, RAC counted over 700 arts organizations for AEP 6, and our region's population was 2.8 million people. In just over 50 years, we have 10 times more arts organizations and 17% population growth. Now let's take a poll, no show of hands and no judgment. Y'all don't be looking around to see who's raising, just raise your own hand. How many of you think we have too many arts organizations? How many of you think we have too few arts organizations? Okay. Regardless of where you land on this question, I invite all of us to think strategically about the size and scope of our sector and determine how we will ensure equitable sustainability and efficacy. We must move away from behaviors that reinforce fragmentation and start planning our work to identify and serve a wider range of audience segments. Also, as keepers and influencers of St. Louis's culture, artists and arts organizations are well positioned to model unified regionalism if we are willing to do the work. In the past 3 years, I have seen so many instances of collaboration in our community, in our arts community. For example, the Black Reps partnership with the Pulitzer Arts Foundation, the Big Muddy Dance Company and the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, CAM and Creative Reaction Lab, and Master Camp at Music at the Intersection. By increasing opportunities for new multidisciplinary partnerships, cross-sector collaborations, and operating model consolidation, we will be a more efficient and effective sector that is prepared to weather the next crisis. Takeaway number 5. For today and tomorrow's workforce, more art in our region equals more talent in our region. We must grow local talent and retain new talent for St. Louis to thrive. To do this, we need more creativity in the workplace and the community. As we learned from AEP 6, CEOs named creativity among the top 5 applied skills when hiring and promoting team members. The ability to create something out of nothing, see solutions that often go unnoticed, create stories and narratives that motivate people to take action are skills of the creative mind. Spending time in theaters, museums, and at festivals help build our creative thinking skills. Elected officials and economic development professionals across the country work to position their cities as best places for companies to locate. Quality of life is more important now than ever to people. Employees want to live in communities that are safe and beautiful, and art plays a role in both. Because of the increase in remote work, companies need to develop and maintain a creative and healthy culture in order to retain talent. As people spend more time away from office buildings, leaders have a unique opportunity to engage the arts in creating a sense of connectedness and belonging for their employees, no matter where they are. I challenge all employers to find at least one way to bring arts to your employees before the end of the year. If we as CEOs say we want employees to have creativity in their skills toolbox, then we must provide opportunities for employees to develop this at work. Okay. It is awfully quiet. Okay, I do want a little bit of noise. Takeaway number 6, with DEI, we thrive. In 1985, RAC funded about 60 organizations. This year, we funded nearly 200 organizations of all disciplines and sizes. 10 years ago, we added grants for individual artists and started with a $75,000 budget. This year, we awarded $1.1 million, the largest grant amount in RAC's history. Very proud of that. Over time, we have worked on our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are proud of our efforts, but we know we have more work to do. By doubling down on DEI, we will ensure our effectiveness and relevance as a grant maker in this ever-changing sector. It is important that we get this right. As an advocate, catalyst, and partner in the arts ecosystem, RAC must be thoughtful and consistent in holding ourselves and our grantees accountable to achieving the vision of a full creative life for every St. Louisan. That vision is realized when all residents can create, attend, and recommend arts experiences that are meaningful and reflect their lives. We must go beyond activities that look and sound good, but do nothing to dismantle the systemic oppression that is deeply embedded in the practices and policies of our sector. As you will read in AEP 6 and Creatives Count, we have not achieved the equitable investment that we say we want in this community. I believe our sector's increased commitment to DEI will yield financial and reputational benefits that are generated by greater innovation and increased social civility across the region. Last but not least, takeaway number 7. Art improves community health and well-being. So far, we have focused on the arts, on how the arts build the economy and the community. Now, let's talk about how art heals us. I am so grateful for all of the things that I have been able to accomplish over the years, but I can distinctly remember a time in my life when things weren't so great. How many of us have been in a place where we didn't want to be, where we felt like we were out of control and things weren't going quite as planned? Anybody here have ever felt like that, ever? I'd like to share a personal story about how I came to know art has healing power. I want to provide a bit of a trigger warning. This story deals with loss of a loved one and thoughts of self-harm. My sophomore year of college, my father lost his battle with pancreatic cancer. Now, you should know my dad was my best friend, the rock on which I stood and the anchor that held me down, making this a deeply devastating loss. One day while I was driving back to school from Dallas to Austin, I was overwhelmed by this wave of grief. It just came over me while I was driving. I was traveling 70 miles an hour, and I was approaching a large cement and metal median where the highway split. And for a moment, I thought, if I just tip this steering wheel a little bit to the left, I could end all the pain that I was feeling. I wanted it to just go away. And as the tears soaked my face, a Kirk Franklin song came on the radio. Don't give up, just hold on. That melody and the words struck a chord in me, and I kept driving, and I kept crying, and I kept driving, and I kept crying. I stand here today leading RAC because I know and believe there is an artist among us that will create the song, the poem, the clothes, the painting, the sculpture, the play, the dance, the festival, the gathering, the innovative artistic practice that can have a meaningful and momentous difference in somebody's life. Art lifts us in times of celebration. Art finds us when we're hiding in our suffering and holds us in every place we find ourselves in between. Art is a healer. Art can also heal communities. In response to the uprising in Ferguson in 2014, artists, activists, community members created nearly 300 murals for the Murals of Hope project, depicting themes of hope, change, equality, love, justice, and peace. Many of them are on display in the Delmar Divine, which shows their healing powers continue to this day. Damon Davis's Pillars of the Valley pays tribute to Mill Creek Valley, once a thriving, predominantly Black neighborhood home to more than 20,000 residents, 800 businesses, and 40 houses of worship. In the late 1950s, city officials destroyed 450 acres of Mill Creek Valley in the name of urban renewal, displacing its residents and disrupting lives. Thank you, St. Louis City SC and Great Rivers Greenway, for your leadership in bringing this history to life in a mindful and meaningful way. The Sugarloaf Mound closing event of Counter Public featured a collaboration between the Wazazi Puppet Theater, artist Anita Fields, and Dr. Andrea Hunter, recognizing the Osage Nation and indigenous people and cultures of St. Louis. Lastly, this year, we added a grant component to our CAP program so that our newly minted fellows would have the resources to bring their community healing projects to life. 3 projects will be completed by December. That's really good. I'm excited. Thanks to support from our commissioners, RAC has started to look more closely at the healing power of the arts. We are excited by our membership in Art KC's Neuro Arts Coalition. Arts KC is our peer local arts agency in Kansas City. By participating in this coalition, RAC will lead the development of St. Louis's Neuro Arts Blueprint, a regional strategy and plan to promote the integration of arts, health, and well-being to tackle systemic issues affecting our community. We thank Arts KC for bringing Susan Maximin, scientist and co-author of Your Brain on Arts, the Johns Hopkins International Arts Plus Mind Lab, Center for Applied Neuroaesthetics, and the Aspen Institute's Health, Medicine, and Society program to Missouri to help us build an arts and healing global model. Our conference, yes, that is good news. Thank you. Now, our conversation about healing is not complete if we do not talk about the well-being of our children in St. Louis. We must stop cutting arts experiences at the first sign of budget challenges and then expect our children to be able to cope with trauma and thrive in their daily lives. Over the last few decades, the proportion of St. Louis's young people that have regular access and exposure to arts has shrunk drastically. This trend is primarily attributable to the expansion of standardized test-based accountability and the reduction of community arts opportunities. The results have been devastating. After research has proven that young people that participate in arts activities at home and at school are more well-rounded individuals who have a broadened understanding and appreciation for other cultures and histories, and they are more civically engaged in their community. We also know that arts makes kids smarter. As a matter of fact, audience participation, spell SMART. You can't spell smart without art. The New York Times and Education Week have both recently published articles presenting comprehensive new research which suggests that classes with teaching artists and direct arts exposure like museum visits do make children smarter. RAC is committed to advancing the work of our grantees that have youth arts education programs and support the education of young people in and through the arts. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Love is the most durable, power in the world. This creative force is the most potent instrument available in mankind's quest for peace and security. I believe the same could be said for art. Art is the most durable power in the world. Our individual and collective creativity is the most potent instrument available in humanity's quest for peace and security. As Andrea mentioned, in 10 days, I will celebrate my 3rd anniversary at RAC. With everything that RAC has been through since the height of the pandemic and COVID-19, sometimes feel like I've been here 30 years. Other times it feels more like 3 months. But either way, I want to share with you some reflections from the last 3 years. Now, many of you have heard me say I feel like I run a 38-year-old startup. When I came to RAC, we were facing a deep financial crisis. We lost 58% of our hotel motel revenue and 75% of our staff. We drastically cut our operating expenses, canceled programs and new grant opportunities, and even reduced committed grant payments. It was hard. Today, we are in a better position financially because of the sacrifices we made 3 years ago. I am proud of the fact that we prioritize grant making and delivering only our high impact programs. I am also proud that we focused on talent and culture to strengthen our organizational infrastructure. In addition to leading with our creative values, we were intentional about redesigning roles in the organization and building more equity into our recruiting and retention practices by offering market rate compensation and competitive benefits to our team members. Transparency and community engagement are hallmarks of our governance and leadership. With each major decision, we clearly communicated our plans during virtual town halls and in our e-newsletter. We made time for focus groups, regional surveys, and even one-on-one conversations to build support for the strategic decisions that moved our organization forward. I am pleased to share that we have made significant progress on the deliverables of our 2020 to 2024 strategic plan. For Pillar 1, we have achieved 4 out of 4 of our deliverables. For Pillar 2, advancing the education of young people, we have not made as much progress as we intended. However, we are actively exploring ways to build our infrastructure and deliver more arts in education grants and programs in 2024. For Pillar 3, increasing equity through leadership and collaboration, we've completed 3 of the 6 deliverables. And then finally, in Pillar 4, strengthening organizational infrastructure, we have completed all 5 deliverables and 6 additional admin and operations projects that help us to keep the doors open. Thank you. A lot of great work from this team. In 2024, we are preparing for slowed hotel motel revenue growth. Hotel motel revenue is generated by 3 main sources: leisure travel, business travel, and convention travel. Leisure travel has been up and has really helped to put us in the position that we're in today. Business travel remains down, and convention travel is a little bit behind. So, in response, we are planning that our FY24 budget will be reduced by $2 million. Our intention is not to overspend and put ourselves at unnecessary financial risk. The year ahead will also be marked by preparation and reflection. RAC turns 40 in February of 2025. We have accomplished a lot since 1985. RAC has been a passionate advocate for advancing diversity and inclusion in the sector. We created innovative programs like CAT. We helped democratize the arts through more accessible funding opportunities and our public grant review process. At our recent board and staff retreat, we wrestled with key questions about the future of our organizations. How do we diversify our revenues? There's more demand for our grants and programs than our hotel motel revenue and staffing can supply. This year alone, we received $2 million more in requests than our FY23 budget could afford. We must be innovative about bringing new dollars into RAC in a way that does not negatively compete with nor cannibalize the fundraising efforts of our grantees. We are also thinking about how should RAC be known and whom should RAC be known by. As a quasi-governmental organization, how do we celebrate and amplify the stories of our impact over the last 40 years? Going forward, how do we make meaningful connections with residents and visitors as well as our grantees? We are excited about this milestone birthday, our Ruby Jubilee, and look forward to sharing our plans with you in the coming months. Now, our ability to directly invest in people is one of the things I love most about RAC. Our 2024 programs for creatives are designed to support professional and personal development. The CAP program, as we talked about, applications will open in July, and we are returning to a fall-spring schedule, so the program will start in October. We also plan to create programming to reconnect with CAT alumni. We have over 400 CAT fellows across the globe, and so we want to better engage with this community of leaders. We will also host a cohort of Gia Obata Fellows. Applications open in January, and the fellowship starts in June. We thank our partner, the Gateway Foundation, for their generous funding of this program that exposes college students to arts administration careers. By August of 24, we will have graduated 30 fellows. This year, we launched it. Thank you. I love young people. This year, we launched a new professional development program for artists in partnership with the Mid-America Arts Alliance, Artist Inc. Live. 2022 will be year 2 of 3. Artist Inc. Live helps artists learn business skills that are relevant to their work and turn their arts practices into sustainable arts careers. Applications for Cohort 2 will open in May, and the program starts in September. Now, RAC believes deeply in continuous improvement. After each grant cycle, we survey stakeholders to understand what did and didn't work in our process. We have shortened the grant application and offered more opportunities for technical assistance as a result of the feedback that we have received. And I am pleased to share that in 2024, we will be offering 2 artist support grant cycles. We will maintain the maximum grant award of $7,500, which is up from $5,000 in years past. These awards are unrestricted and can be used to fund creative projects, supplies, equipment, or creative development opportunities. Artists will also notice a much shorter application and streamlined reporting requirements in 2024. In addition to what I have outlined today, we are going to take all of the rich data from AEP6 and Creatives Count and use it to inform our work, because we know that by focusing on our career creatives, we will see the greatest social and economic returns for our community. Thank you. RAC is focused on accessibility and accountability in our grant making. It is important that RAC does what it says it's going to do and that our grantees do the same. The pandemic fundamentally changed our organization, and I am excited about how we are approaching our work. And after nearly 2 years of planning, we will have 1 grant application for arts organizations in 2024. We are offering unrestricted grants to arts organizations of all disciplines and all sizes. We are intentional about calling these funds unrestricted because we want arts organizations to be able to use the dollars for any purpose: operations, administration, programming, etc. Program grants will be awarded to non-arts organizations to fund their art-specific programs. We have a new tiered system that also allows smaller arts organizations to access greater award amounts. So as you can see from this chart, depending on your current annual operating budget amount, the maximum grant amount, everything from $25,000 to $100,000. Now, to account for the revenue challenges that we are preparing for, this year's grants will be annual. We hope that once we diversify our revenue, we can return to multi-year grants. But for now, in 2024, the grants will be annual. Another thing that I love about RAC is that our grants are reviewed and scored by St. Louis residents. This year, with help from our commissioners, we launched a new grant reviewer training to ensure the most objective reviews possible. We plan to expand our grant reviewer opportunities and trainings in 2024. Now, thanks to Randy Cohen, who joined us last year when we kicked off AEP 6, he's the Vice President of Research at AFTA, I have adopted a new slogan for my work at RAC. We need more heads in beds and cheeks in seats. Our artists and arts organizations depend on RAC for funding and organizational support. We have consistently heard from our grantees a need for marketing communications resources, so on April 1st, we launched a new initiative, St. Louis Arts, to advance cultural tourism in the region. Now, our friends at Explore St. Louis get to talk about all the reasons why St. Louis is a great place to visit, and RAC gets to talk exclusively about why the arts make St. Louis a great place to visit. It is a complementary partnership. St. Louis arts results have been amazing. You might have seen our giant ad at the St. Louis airport. It's 70 feet long. It's pretty hard to miss. Our new website, stlouisarts.org, already surpassed 120,000 unique visitors since April, and our social media campaigns have literally reached millions of people across the country. And the fun is not over yet. In 2024, we will launch new features and content. Now, in preparing for this talk, I chatted with several of our grantees from across the region, and everybody wanted to know what's going on with the ARPA money. Well, I'm going to give you a quick update. St. Louis Board Bill 66 passed in October of 2022 after a year-long advocacy campaign that Nick talked about. RAC received its allocation of $10.6 million on May 31st of this year. After extensive federal compliance review in partnership with the CDA, we launched ARPA for the Arts on August the 1st. So as you can see here, we have designed the distribution of these dollars to have the greatest impact for artists and arts organizations, both from a revenue replacement perspective and from a tourism perspective. Now, this has truly been a labor of love for everybody that works at RAC. We have made several pivots due to constantly changing federal guidelines. Nonetheless, our North Star continues to be, number one, shoulder much of the administrative burden that is required of federal allocations so that our artists and arts organizations can use these dollars to create, and two, position RAC to receive more federal funding. Our ARPA for the Arts advocacy efforts revealed a great demand for more public art in St. Louis. In response, RAC is working to build our internal capacity in this area. Thanks to our partners, Justice and Joy and Forecast Public Art, we've spent this year learning about the role and history, RAC's role in history, in the region's public art ecosystem and developing a new strategy for how we will lead in this area as a funder and communicator. RAC has identified three main goals for our public art strategy. Number one, contribute to a sense of belonging. Two, foster unity through collaboration. And three, support equitable economic growth. In addition to a historical primer, we will post a strategy summary on our website. Now, we have invested a lot of resources in bringing you quality data about the arts and culture sector in St. Louis. We want artists, arts organizations, business leaders, civic leaders to use this data to make decisions that advance our sector in 2024. Our research and evaluation team will host events that take a deeper dive into the data. We are also available to speak at your board meetings, staff meetings, government meetings. If you want us to come and bring a customized presentation about AEP 6 and or Creatives Count, please just send us an email to info@racstl.org. We are happy to come. We hope you will join us for CULTURA in 2024, where we will hear from SMU Data Arts and other national researchers. RAC is working to be the premier research hub of arts and culture in St. Louis. CULTURA is set to be the nation's leading conference where arts research professionals and arts and culture artists and arts organizations come together. Now, as a reminder, information about RAC's 2024 grants and programs will be posted on our website. Please make sure you are following us on social media and you are receiving our email communications. Now, as an arts community, I want us to agree to do three things before we leave. I am calling them agreements because rules are made to be right. These are all things that each of us can do: act, resource, and tour. It is easy to take the arts for granted in St. Louis because we are so blessed with an abundance of artists and arts organizations that create for our benefit day in and day out. We must take action together to advance the St. Louis arts and culture sector. Well, what actions, you may be asking? First and foremost, vote. Vote in your local and national elections. Be informed and vote for people that are willing to invest in the arts and create arts-friendly policies. No matter where you live in this region, try to attend at least one public meeting in the next 6 months. Thank your local elected official for supporting the arts. We don't want them to only hear from us when we want something. We need to make our voices heard on a regular basis. Additionally, you can travel with us to Jefferson City in February of 2024. We are partnering with Missouri Citizens for the Arts and will take a bus to the Capitol for Arts Advocacy Day. Next, help RAC continue to resource St. Louis artists and arts organizations through your generosity. You can give your time as a grant reviewer. Our grants team makes it super easy to participate. We provide the training and a $200 stipend. On average, grant reviewers get about 4 weeks to review about 20 or so applications. We are recruiting reviewers right now, so visit our website and please sign up. In addition to you arts fans, I highly encourage artists and arts organizations to review grants because it's a great way to learn about what your peers and colleagues are doing in the region. There are also other ways you can volunteer with RAC, so if you have some time, please let us know. Additionally, RAC is a 501c3 charity, and as such, we welcome your financial generosity. Individuals can visit racstl.org and click on the Support RAC button. Organizations that want to support us, please reach out. Our growth and development team looks forward to connecting with you and identifying opportunities that meet your philanthropic goals. As RAC grows and diversifies our funding, we are able to support even more artists and arts organizations. Finally, take a tour with family, friends, and colleagues and experience St. Louis's vibrant arts scene. Our artists and arts organizations need your direct support. The holidays are approaching, so what better gift to give than a custom piece of art or an arts experience? We have a directory of artists and arts organizations on our website year-round. And yes, it's fun to stream your favorite shows or flip through your social media feed to enjoy arts and culture, but it's even better to be in the room with people you know and people you don't, enjoying art together. Each of us is impacted by the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity that exist in our world. Yet, we can take heart knowing we have a vibrant and resilient arts and culture community that beautifies neighborhoods, fuels creativity, celebrates diversity, and brings joy to residents and visitors every day. I invite you to make it a point to have at least one new arts experience per month. And if you take me up on this, I believe when we meet back here next year, you'll be a better human because of the arts you experienced in St. Louis. As I close, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and celebrate some very special people. First, I want to thank my family and my friends and my colleagues and mentors near and far that support, inspire, and encourage me daily. Many of you are in the room, others are watching. Your love and kindness has been the difference maker for me on this journey. Second, I want to thank all of our RAC commissioners and team members. I deeply appreciate how we work together to bring RAC's mission to life every day. If you are a team member or commissioner, please stand, and would you all please help me recognize our team. Oh, I love what I do, and I love who I do it with. It is just, it's amazing. We created this from nothing, and the fact that you all are in this room, it's not me, it is the team all day long, and I'm just so very grateful. So now, let's put a bow on this conversation with my favorite African proverb. I'd ask that you say it with me. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Thank you, and I welcome your questions.